Question number 1. In India, which year was labeled as the dangerous decade? In India, 1960s were labeled as the dangerous decade. Question number 2. Who became successor of Lal Bahadur Shastri as Prime Minister of India? Indira Gandhi. Number 3 question. Which year was considered as a landmark year in India's political and electoral history? 1967. Question number 4. Name the full form of DMK. Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam. Question number 5. When was the system of coalition started in India? In the year 1967. Question number 6. To which MLA did the phrase Ayaram Gayaram belong? Gayaram. Question number 7. When the fourth general election was held? In 1967. Question number 8. How many seats were secured by the Indian National Congress in the Lok Sabha in 1967 election? 283 seats. Question number 9. What is the meaning of defection? Defection means an elected MLA and MP leave the political party on whose symbol they are elected and join other political party. Question number 10. What do you mean by syndicate? Syndicate refers to a group of powerful and influential leaders within the Congress party. It was an informal name given to a group of Congress party leaders who control the party's decision making. Question number 11. Write the full form of SVD. Samayukt Vidhayak Dal. Question number 12. Why were 1960s labeled as the dangerous decade? 1960s were labeled as dangerous decade because some unresolved problems. Question number 13. Who was the founder of Congress Socialist Party? Joy Prakash Narayan. Question number 14. Who became the Prime Minister of India after Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru? Lal Bahadur Shastri. Question number 15. When Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru died? In 1964. Question number 16. Say the correct word. Number 1. Lal Bahadur Shastri was the first, second, third Prime Minister of India. Answer is second. Number 2. The famous slogan Jai Jawan Jai Kisan was made by Indira Gandhi, Morarji Desai, Lal Bahadur Shastri. Answer is Lal Bahadur Shastri. Question number 3. The Congress syndicate was led by Karpuri Thakur, K. Kamras, S. Nijalingappa. Answer is K. Kamras. Question number 4. Dravid Munnetra Kazhagam, DMK, belongs to Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh. Answer is Tamil Nadu. Question number 5. K. Kamras, S. K. Patil, and Sanjeeva Reddy, all the above was the leader of syndicate. K. Kamras. Question number 6. Who gave a slogan of Indira Hatao? Grand Alliance, the non-Congress opposition alliance. Question number 2. This is very important. Explain the term Ayaram Gayaram. How this term originates? The term Ayaram Gayaram refers to describe the practice of frequent floor crossing by the legislators. After the fourth general election, defection became a frequent phenomena in the politics of India. Defection means an elected representative leaving the party on whose symbol he or she was elected and joining another party. The term Ayaram Gayaram specially refers to Gayalal, a MLA in Haryana. In the year 1967, Gayalal changed his party thrice in a fortnight. Question number 3. Explain the emergence of coalition government. When no single party achieves absolute majority in the election, then coalition government is formed by making alliance of two or more than two political parties. The election of 1967 brought into picture of the phenomenon of coalition government in Indian politics. The reason for the emergence of coalition governments are as under. Firstly, after the election 1967, no single party could get majority. Secondly, after that various non-Congress parties came together to form joint legislation parties called SVD that supported non-Congress governments. Thirdly, there was an attempt by the various non-Congress parties to form coalition government. Fourthly, these governments were ideologically heterogeneous and their ideals were not all same. Question number 4. What do you mean by defection? The important feature of the politics after the 1967 election was the beginning of the politics of defection. Defection means an elected representative leaving the party on whose symbol he or she was elected and joining another party. Many of the governmental changes in the northern states were the result of defection or floor crossing by individual legislators. The breakaway Congress legislators played an important role in installing non-Congress governments in 3 states, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. The shifting political loyalties gave rise to the expression Ayaram Gayaram. Question number 5. What is non-Congressism? The opposition parties of Congress came together to form anti-Congress fronts in the 4th general elections. This coming together of anti-Congress opposition parties is called the strategy of non-Congressism. Parties opposed to the Congress realized that the division of their votes kept the Congress in power. Thus, parties that were entirely different in ideology got together to form anti-Congress fronts in some states and entered into electoral adjustment and of sharing seats in others. Question number 6. How did the outcome of 1971 elections help in the restoration of Congress? The 5th general elections of Lok Sabha were held in February 1971. The electoral contest appeared to be loaded against Congress R. After all, the new Congress was just one faction of an already weak party. Everyone believed that the real organizational strength of the Congress party was under the command of Congress O. To make matters worse for Indira Gandhi, all the major non-communist, non-Congress opposition parties formed an electoral alliance known as the Grand Alliance. Yet the new Congress had something that its big opponents lacked. It had an issue, an agenda, and a positive slogan. The Grand Alliance did not have a coherent political program. Indira Gandhi said that The opposition alliance had only one common program, Indira Hatao. In contrast to this, she put forward a positive program captured in the famous slogan Garibi Hatao. Indira Gandhi focused on the growth of the public sector, imposition of ceiling on rural land holdings and urban poverty, removal of disparities in income and opportunity, and abolition of princely privileges. Thus the slogan Garibi Hatao and the programs that followed it were part of Indira Gandhi's political strategy of building an independent nationwide political support base. As a result, Congress owned 352 seats with about 44% of the popular votes on its own in the Lok Sabha elections of 1971. Soon after the 1971 Lok Sabha election, a major political and military crisis broke out in East Pakistan. The 1971 elections were followed by the crisis in East Pakistan and the Indo-Pak War leading to the establishment of Bangladesh. These events added to the popularity of Congress, especially of Indira Gandhi. Thus, Indira Gandhi restored the Congress system by changing the nature of the Congress system itself. Question number 7. How was the Congress O different from Congress R? This topic is very much essential for ACES exam. Congress O and Congress R were the two opposition political parties within Congress. Both were originated after the Congress split in 1969. They were differ from each other like following manner. By November 1969, the Congress group led by the syndicate leader came to be referred to as the Congress O. On the other hand, the group led by Indira Gandhi came to be called the Congress R. The leaders of Congress O supported Neelam Sanjiva Reddy as presidential candidate, whereas Indira Gandhi and Congress R supported V.V. Giri as presidential candidate. Congress O was more concerned of the rich section of society, while Congress R was greatly concerned of poor section of people in the society. In the 1971 Lok Sabha election, Indira Gandhi's Congress R owned 352 seats with about 44% of the popular votes on its own, but Congress O owned only 16 seats. Question number 8. In what ways Indira Gandhi reinvented her party Congress R? Congress O and Congress R were the two opposition political party within Congress. Both were originated after the Congress split 1969. Congress R group led by Indira Gandhi. The Congress party occupied a similar position in terms of its popularity as in the past, but it was a different kind of a party. It relied entirely on the popularity of the supreme leader. It had a somewhat weak organizational structure. This Congress party did not have many fractions. Thus, it could not accommodate all kinds of opinion and interest. Indira Gandhi said that the opposition alliance had only one common program, Indira Hatao. But Indira Gandhi put forward a positive program captured in the famous slogan Garibi Hatao. Indira Gandhi focused on the growth of the public sector, imposition of ceiling on rural land, holdings and urban property, removal of disparities in income and opportunity and abolition of princely states. Thus the slogan Garibi Hatao and the programs that followed it were part of Indira Gandhi's political strategy of building an independent nationwide political support base. While this party won elections, it depended more on some social groups, the poor, women, Dalits, Adivasis, and minorities. Thus, in world politics, a new Congress was emerged. Thus, Indira Gandhi reinvented her party Congress R by changing the nature of the Congress system itself. What does the term syndicate mean? In the context of the Congress Party of the 60s, what role did play the syndicate in the Congress Party? Syndicate was a group of powerful and influential leaders from within the Congress. Syndicate was an informal name given to a group of Congress leaders who controlled the party's decision making. This was led by K. Kamras, former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and then President of Congress Party. It also included some powerful leaders like S. K. Patil, S. Nijalingappa, N. Sanjeeva Reddy, and Otulya Ghosh. In the 60s, it played a decisive role by installing both Lal Bahadur Shastri and Indira Gandhi as a Prime Minister. This group played decisive say in Indira Gandhi's first Council of Ministers and formation and implementation of policies. After the Congress split, two groups in Congress were created, Congress O, led by Syndicate Group, and Congress R, led by Indira Gandhi. Congress R won popularity after 1971 and Syndicate Congress O lost power and prestige. Question number 10. Why is the decade of 60s labeled as a dangerous decade? Due to some unresolved problems like poverty, inequality, communal and regional division, lead a failure of the democratic project or disintegration of the country. After Nehru's death, it was feared whether new leadership would be able to manage democratic aspirations of the people. In this decade, defection was quite prominent. Many MLAs and MPs tried to change their political party and join other parties. In this decade, India faced some grave economic situation like failure of monsoons, widespread drought, decline in food storage, etc. There was also split of the Congress party because of internal differences between Indira Gandhi faction of the Congress and Syndicate faction. When the presidential election took place in 1969, then the two factions supported two different persons for the post of presidency.